Jesus was the leader in the way, a movement that was known as the way. For he said, I am the way, the truth, and the light. Now that gets all of it. I am.
In his younger years, MLK attended Booker T. Washington High School, which unfortunately deviated from its namesake and was, by the time MLK went there, teaching New Thought, which apparently made a greater impression on him than the teachings of the Bible.
There's been a number of researchers who are saying that they have evidence and showing that they have evidence pointing towards Martin Luther King Jr. being a Marxist, having communist sympathies. Now, here's a question that we're looking at. Was it MLK Sr. who encouraged Martin Luther King Jr. to have these sympathies for communism and socialism?
Dr. King's radicalism goes as far back as his teenage years. As the son of a minister who himself was a proponent of the social gospel and frequented events put on by communist front organizations, MLK had a front row seat to all of it, including the cadence of his father's preaching style, which the younger King learned to mimic quite well.
Jesus was the leader in the way, a movement that was known as the way. For he said, I am the way, the truth, and the light. Now that gets all of it. I am.
In his younger years, MLK attended Booker T. Washington High School, which unfortunately deviated from its namesake and was, by the time MLK went there, teaching New Thought, which apparently made a greater impression on him than the teachings of the Bible.
King questioned the Bible ferociously as a Sunday school student, questions God's existence, salvation. Really, there was almost a pride that he exhibited about asking questions that he believed those around him had no answer for.
I accepted biblical studies uncritically until I was about 12 years old. But this uncritical attitude could not last long, for it was contrary to the very nature of my being. I had always been the questioning and precocious type. At the age of 13, I shocked my Sunday school class by denying the bodily resurrection of Jesus. From the age of 13 on, doubts began to spring forth unrelentingly. At the age of 15, I entered college, and more could I see a gap between what I had learned in Sunday school and what I was learning in college. King College Papers, 1950.
In college, King wrote a paper stating that he didn't believe Jesus Christ was God. He didn't believe in the divinity of God. Now, did that ever change? Well, the problem that we're faced with now is there any evidence of King changing his theory or his thoughts on who Jesus Christ really is? He's, as far as we know, he stuck to, till the day he died, he stuck to the idea of Jesus Christ being a human and there was no divinity within him. So I went to Google and I asked the question to Google, is there any evidence of Martin Luther King Jr. changing his mind about what he once wrote in college about the divinity of Christ? And it says here, there was no evidence that Martin Luther King Jr. claimed Jesus Christ was God in the Orthodox sense. In fact, his theological writings and papers from his time at Crozer Theological Seminary show that he rejected the traditional Christian doctrine of Christ's divinity. King viewed Jesus as an inspiring historical human who achieved perfect harmony with God rather than as a divine metaphysical being. Throughout his academic and theological writings, he frequently referred to the Orthodox view of the divinity of Christ as quite readily denied and intellectually and historically untenable. While he rejected traditional Christology, King treated Jesus as the ultimate moral example and guide for social justice. So as a Christian, we believe that man's social justice is in opposition and in enmity to Christ and his way and his justice. There is no connection with social justice and the justice Christ reveals to us in the Gospels, in Scripture.